Okay, this is English 373, week 5, part 5. The speech is it really is one of Shakespeare's best. It is deservedly famous. Um, so he says she should have died hereafter. There would have been time for such a word. Meaning, like if she had died later at a more calm time, he could have said something, but he has no time today. He says tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, and I like that tomorrow because his whole point is that time just goes on with no point. So to go on and on and on and on. So it's tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. Like he's exhausted that just time keeps going. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in its petty pace from day to day to the last syllable of recorded time. So just like day after day after day. Um, and all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Right? That like your life is supposed to provide, like your past is supposed to provide you with a way to understand the future. So the way he describes that is your yesterdays are supposed to light up the future. But here he says that he feels like all his yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Like the only point of the past is it just lights up the fact that you're gonna die, and he's gonna die today. So he just feels like, what was the point? Your past is supposed to help you with your future, and he just feels like this whole thing makes no sense because all it's led him to is death. Lady Macbeth's dead. Um, and he goes on to say, out brief candle, meaning because he feels it's like life is like a candle that burns briefly and then you're dead. And then he makes a couple of different metaphors. Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage and then is heard no more. It's a really strange thing to say. It's a metaphor, but what he means is that life is like an actor that walks back and forth on the stage, and then when the play's over, he's gone. And he's totally gone. I mean, the actor isn't gone, but the character, when the actor leaves the stage, the character does not exist anywhere anymore because characters aren't real. They're embodied by actors. So once the actor stops acting, where's that character? Who knows? It's gone. Um, so it's just a metaphor to say that he feels like life is like a candle, that like life is like a lamp that leads you to death. Life is like a candle that sort of flickers quickly and burns out. He feels like life is like like a shadow. It's like not really there. It's not real because what's a shadow? A shadow is just the absence of light. So it's not anything. What is the shadow made out of? It's not made of anything. It's a lack of something. And then he says life is like an actor that sort of makes a big deal on the stage, but plays over. Character is gone. Um, think about what I told you, don't just think about Macbeth's metaphors in his world. Think about its relationship to us. Think about how strange it is for me to be sitting in my seat watching the most emotionally intense moment in all of Shakespeare, where I'm like sucked into the world of Shakespeare. Like, oh my God, I can't believe Lady Macbeth is dead. She was my favorite character. And Macbeth says, life is just like an actor walking on a stage and then the play ends. I'm watching an actor sitting on a stage and the play is just about to end. I'm like one page from the end. So like it's almost like he wants to remind you you're watching a play. I'm going to exaggerate this a little bit. This is exaggerated. Don't take this very seriously. It's a little bit, a tiny bit like Deadpool. You know how Deadpool knows he's in a movie and looks at the audience and makes jokes? Macbeth is almost knows he's in a play where he's like, man, I just feel like life is like a play that has no point. Like, and I'm watching Macbeth in a play. It's almost like Deadpool. There's a couple of those moments too, and that's not the only moment that's sort of like Deadpool. It's called breaking the fourth wall because the walls are left, right, and behind you. The fourth wall is the one. If there was a fourth wall, you wouldn't be able to see any of the characters because they'd be like inside the house, but they sort of take that wall down, and that's the part, the invisible part you can see through to see the play happening. Um, so it's almost like he knows he's in a play. And there's been other moments like that, like when Lady Macbeth and the witches, she says, make me like a man, and Banquo says, you witches should be women, and yet your beards forbid me to interpret that you are so. Those are also moments that remind me I'm watching a play, um, which is a strange thing to want to do. Usually, you want your audience to get lost in the play, but here, it doesn't do that. Because Shakespeare always wants to remind you that you're watching a performance, that gender is a performance, that life is a performance, because people are watching you. I'm performing right now, and then this ends. Yeah, and actually, so my whole thing is about gender, and performance. But at the end, you realize these are all the same things. Like I told you, all the decisions actors make and directors to do a performance. But the subject of the play is masculinity and femininity. But those are also performances. This is all linked. And then in the end, he just feels like everything is so meaningless. He says it's a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. You ever have an idiot tell you a story and you're like listening and there's no point and none of this is going anywhere? That's what Macbeth feels like life is like, because Lady Macbeth is dead. Because with her dead, there is no point. There's no point to go on. There's just nothing to it. It's just everything feels like a total waste and a disaster. Um, Many productions use that. They move the speech to for the very end of the play because it's such a famous, sort of incredible speech. Um, yeah, he's just grappling with the idea that like all of this might be completely meaningless. But I don't think it, and maybe I can understand why he feels that way. Maybe it has been meaningless for him because he can't see the point of any of this. Like, why all this tragedy, why all this destruction, why all this despair? He did it all for her, and she's not even there anymore. And his whole life has no more meaning. But it hasn't been meaningless for me. I've gotten a lot out of this experience. I've learned a lot of shit going through this play. It's amazing. Um, Okay, cool. I think we've wrapped up Macbeth. I'm gonna probably put some Macbeth clips after this or around this, and you can see this speech done by multiple people. I think I can find Homer Simpson doing it. It's pretty funny. Um, and anyway, I'll do that, and then we're gonna and I know we're only halfway through the week, but I'll put some clips, and then we'll start with Coriolanus. So we made it to the end of Unit 1 and the end of Macbeth. Actually, I may put the Coriolanus stuff in a different playlist because it's in the second unit. I'll figure it out. You'll find it all. It's fine. It's on there. If this playlist suddenly stops, just go into Unit 2, and there may be more stuff there. Like it'll be like Week 5, Part 2, whatever. I'll see you there. Yay, Macbeth! We did a whole Shakespeare play. It only took 5 weeks. Oh, Jeff's crazy.